Ahmed, thank you so much for your patience. You were talking earlier about how the fact that it's actually starting at a global level, and then we might see that trickle down effect. Tell us more about that.
Okay, yes. The concerns are more about what it does to global trade in general, rather than the individual impact on our relationship between Nigeria and US or Nigeria and the US. So we're saying that, okay, if you're penalizing consumers by imposing tariffs, which is effectively what it means, we might see a weakening in consumer spending, consumption as well. And of course, if it's not as strong as it should be, manufacturing companies will also tone down on their activities, and that's where the worries for Nigeria, that's where it lies, because look at it, as at Q1 2018, crude oil exports still dominates exports in Nigeria. Q1 2018, it was like 88%, that's like 90%. So you look at that and you feel that, oh, if the global trade takes a shock, I mean, the oil price takes a shock as a result of declining production and consumption, then we should be worried about that. I mean, at least in the near to medium term. However, if you look at some of our other trading partners as well, India, the Germany, in Europe and Asia and so on, it's not like we have any bad relationship, but we should be looking at global crude oil prices, what this will do to crude oil prices as a result of a decline in consumption and demand. Okay,
I perfectly understand that, but then are there any issues with some other sectors in Nigeria, do you think?
Yes, of course. You know, with the tension between both countries, they will be looking for alternate markets to source for materials or to push products to. You look at the agri sector, we've seen a lot of some improvement in terms of investment, and since this administration made it a focus. And so you look at that and say, hey, there are probably opportunities to export crops like maybe soybean and sorghum to China. And then I've heard talks about the steel industry as well, but you look at it, we're still struggling to get that sector going.
No, that's one thing we kind of benefit from at this time.
There are fundamental issues yet to be sorted, and you look at it generally in terms of because of how we failed to diversify the economy adequately over time. We're not really in a strong position to take advantage of emerging opportunities, at least in the short term.
But do you see this escalating further? Because what I hear from analysts is that nobody wins in a trade war, especially the person who's instigating it.
Definitely not. I think more of it is trying to, like, I think they are playing a game here, trying to see who will back down first, trying to get an advantage over the other. Obviously, the American government have concerns about how China conducts trades in the U.S., and then that's why they are bringing up all these tariffs to say that, okay, if you don't give us leverage on certain agreements, then this is what you're going to get. But obviously, it hurts American economy as well. Already, earlier today, we had Davidson is trying to move production out of the economy. There are other companies as well who do a lot of significant business in Europe, and they'll also be looking at moving business abroad just to minimize the impact of retaliatory tariffs on their business. So in the long run, I mean, we might see the tension, but in terms of escalating into a full trade war,
you don't see
that coming. But I want to go on something you said earlier. You said that there could be opportunities for Nigeria's soybean and sorghum producers. But then if there are opportunities here and we do produce these things, will it be a short-term boost or like a more consistent long-term boost?
If like I'm expecting, I think the concerns for me lie in terms of in the area of global growth generally. And that's where I feel that it will be short-lived if we're going to make any gains, because proponents of free trade are saying when there's free trade and liberalization, everybody wins essentially. So if you don't have that, now you have other countries tending towards protectionist policies, and that doesn't help, even if you want to, because at the end of the day, when you export to China, they produce other things that end up in the US. So if consumption is not as strong as it should be, obviously they're not going to demand for so much sorghum or so much soybean like they should, and so that in the long term might not be a good one for everyone.